Hey everyone, I haven't seen you for a whole week, and I've had a continuation from last week of having weird kismet, serendipity, déjà vu sort of week. It's been a very interesting few weeks. I had a dream. Remember that lady I was telling you about in the last video who I had that dream about, and she just haunted me for days and days afterwards? Well, I had another dream with her in it, and it was like a birthday Easter kind of thing. Anyway, she was really upset with me because I wasn't doing what she wanted, and she wasn't telling me what she wanted. She just kind of expected me to know what it was that she wanted, what she needed, and she was kind of starting to get really riled up about me not doing what she wanted, and it kind of gave me that weird panicky I'm in trouble feeling. But it really shouldn't have affected me so badly. But yeah, so I had another dream with her in it. I had another dream that involved railroad tracks and sitting on top of a train. Not inside it, but on top of it. And then running away from something. I think this would be the second dream I've had ever that had the Slender Man in it, but I think it's just because I've been overexposing myself to him, not because I'm being haunted by him. But I was on the train tracks, as I was saying, and I was on the train tracks, and then I ran into this mall, and then I was hiding from him, and I think it wasn't just... I wasn't feeling fear from him. I was just doing what's expected of me. Like, you always run away from Slender Man. You can't do anything else but run away from him. Anyway, so I hid in the bathroom, and then the lights went out, and it was all dark and scary. And then, as I was getting kind of more confident that I had given him the slip, there was a little boy in the next stall, and he was kind of really freaking out, because he had never experienced the Slender Man before. So, so I kind of rescued him, and I carried him out of the bathroom, and, returned him to his parents. I don't know why you would leave a 3-year-old in the bathroom, but that's the way my brain works, I guess. And we escaped, and we were in the light, and everyone was around us, and the Slender Man disappeared. So it wasn't terrifying. It was just kind of, he was there, and I was running away from him. But those are the dreams. Now, the coincidences, or the weird episodes that have happened this week. One of my coworkers, I was walking into work, and he was so convinced that I had already been in work, and he'd already said good morning to me, that he needed to escort me into the lunchroom to show me that I was already there. I think he was still sleeping, but he was very convinced that he had already said good morning to me. Later on that day, actually, we were looking for one of our other coworkers, and we had to check the schedule to see when he worked because we weren't sure when he was going to come in. And so when we went to go, we went into this little small area, and it's kind of like a little room, sort of like there's only one way out, one way in. So we went in, looked around, couldn't find the schedule, went, 10 feet in another direction and found the schedule and was looking at it. And then we were like, he's late. I wonder when he's going to get in. And then he said, who's getting in? And we turned around, and he was coming out from where we just were. So he wasn't in there when we went to go look for him, but he was there when we were asking about him later. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of cool. And then, and one of the things that I thought was really cool is that after I had that Slender Man dream, no, it wasn't Slender Man, it was the haunted lady who's been hunting me forever, for the last week or two. But after I had that dream about her, the weird coincidences that kind of made me pay attention a little bit to these dreams a little bit more is because I went out, and one of the light bulbs in the bathroom blew. I went, ugh, how annoying. And then I left to go to work, and I opened the door, and the light above the hallway light was out, which I thought was cool. I was like, that's weird. And then I got on the train, and the train lights kept flickering off and on. And I was like, okay, that's 3 lights in a row that's going on. And then I passed under a street lamp, and the street lamp went out. And by now I'm starting to get paranoid, thinking that I have like really awesome electric magnetic field problems, and that I'm going to turn into Magneto. And then I got out from the street light, and then I got out of the... Oh, and then there was a train station. When I got off the train, the light was flickering off in the trains. And I was like, by the time I actually got to my job, I was starting to think that I had superpowers. But the coffee hadn't kicked in yet, I don't think so. On the way home, I didn't really encounter a lot of electrical problems throughout the day or on the way home. But I thought it was really cool that after I had the dream, there was lots of like light bulbs flashing and bursting and stuff. So that was cool. And then what else has happened? You ever have those conversations with your friends where you're talking to people and they're like, you know, I really need this book and I think that I should read it. And then you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to the bookstore and I'll go buy it. And then you run into another friend like a few minutes later. And they're like, hey, I have this book, you want to read it? And it's the exact same book that you were just talking about with another person. And but they're totally unrelated, they're totally in different places. It's just really kind of a lot of kismet. I guess weird serendipity moments. And then I've had also a lot of déjà vu moments throughout this week. And I've heard that déjà vu from scientists and people who are not really up for the paranormal and who are kind of skeptical and want to disprove everything. They want to tell you that déjà vu is your brain telling you what's going on, because your brain doesn't often tell you what's going on. I don't quite understand how that works, but that's what they were telling me. I read it in an article somewhere, so I can't remember where. I read it a few years ago. Anyway, so I was I was thinking a lot, because I do a lot of dreaming of the future and stuff. Like I dream years in advance, and then I'll forget about it. And then it'll happen, and then I'll remember that, oh yeah, I had a dream about this. And I'll come home and I'll find like an old dream journal. And then I'll find the little epilogue or of my dreams. And it'll say what happened in the dream and that sort of stuff. And I've gotten out of the habit these last few years of not writing down my dreams. So I'm not entirely certain how long the time I have between when I dream an event and then how many years pass and then the actual event happens. I'm not sure. I have never timed it. I've never actually paid attention to it. I just know it happens. I think of these dreams as like signposts along my life. And a signpost will say, you're on the right track. You're going where you're supposed to be, you know. And there was a few years where I didn't have any of these dreams, and I was or any of these déjà vu moments, and I was a little worried as to whether or not I was supposed to be where I am, or where I was. And and then after a while, they started up again. I like it. It kind of gives you kind of a sense of comfort that you are doing and being where you're supposed to be at any given time. I don't really think that your life is planned out, but I think it's kind of like you have like little points, kind of like a game. You know, when you have, like when you finish a quest or something, and you have to go back to the place that that originally gave you the quest in order for you to finish it. And it's kind of like one of those little stops along the way that you kind of run into stuff that you're supposed to. Even it's kind of preordained, but you can go anywhere else in the game and you just eventually get there. Skyrim is actually a really good idea, or example of that. Anyway, I've been blathering for 10 minutes. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.